Well, good evening, internets. It's me, DP Knudten, for another exciting edition of BOOKWARD BOUND, my 301-day journey from I should really do this to done. And what is that done? That done is the creation of a brand new book for 2021. That's right. On January 1st, 2021, I'm going to be uploading press-ready PDF files to Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing platform, where I will be self-publishing a brand new book called NONFICTION BRAND, Discovering, Crafting, and Communicating the Completely True, Completely You brand you already are. And that's what this is all about tonight. Coming down here, getting back to work, and doing a little bit of work advancing the ball forward, so to speak, on my book in real time, in real life, right in front of your very eyes, and with your help. So, first of all, let me start by saying thank you. So when I come down here to work on the book, most of the time I don't know exactly what I'm going to be working on. And that's certainly true of tonight, because I was working on a rather large section, cleaning it up last night, and I want to let that marinate for a little bit, because one of the things I learned a long time ago is if you think it's perfect and done, leave it alone, like for a week, maybe even a little longer, and then come back to it after you've already forgotten that you've written it. Because then you can really look at it with brand new eyes, kind of that beginner's mind that everybody wants to have. And then you can really see if there are things missing, if your arguments aren't making sense, if there's a lapse or hole in the copy or your logic path that needs to be filled, etc. So I'm not going to work on that. But I do want to work, I think, on a specific section about a specific person, because one of the things I'm doing with this book is I'm leveraging my podcast for the book, because during my podcast I talk to some really fascinating, fun people, and I want to use their examples and their stories and actual quotes from the podcast in the book when those quotes actually support the thesis statement of this book, which is basically that everyone has a brand, whether they know it or not. The key is to package it, to brand it in such a way that people understand exactly who you are, what you do, and how you do it. That's the basics right there. In fact, you don't have to buy the book or even read it now, because I told you exactly what it's about. I'm kidding. However, I'm not kidding about this. Where am I going to put this? What is nonfiction branding? Laying the foundation. Discovering me or my biz. If you don't own it, it's not yours. Let's add a new section in here. Knowing who you are so you can be it. And I'm going to tell the story of Sarah Townsend. How about that? Townsend is a writer based in Gloucester, UK. Yeah, I think that's how you spell it. Gloucester, England. Gloucester, UK. England. I know her because of a very strange, fun, and rather long chain of social media connections comma, I can safely say that during any previous time in human history, Sarah, even as recent as 10 years ago, Sarah and I would have no idea the other even exists. But the real world, a lot smaller now due to the advent of a virtual one. And so, yeah, there we go. Oh, I gotta kick it over here so you can see the screen. Virtual. And so to self-described misfits. Now, a chance to become friends. Via a mutual friend based in Australia. That's right. That's right. USA to Australia. USA to Sydney. Madison, Wisconsin. USA to Sydney, Australia to Gloucester, England. Amazed? You shouldn't be. That kind of like finds like is going on all day, every day, through social media. Throughout social media. But only for those who are actively putting themselves out there, sharing of whom they, sharing what they know, in a way that sharing what they know without expectation of immediate benefit for themselves. Notice I didn't say no benefit for themselves. Notice I didn't say no benefit, because there because sometime sooner or later such sharing is going to pay off. Maybe not in the form of paid engagement, but in the person of a new friend, but in the guise of a new friend from across the seas. Sarah, just such a friend. There's one. Is exactly like that. Over a couple of years and via our mutual acquaintance, Kate Toon, down under, there we go. If you're mutual down under, I got to know each other to the point where I was looking for just about any excuse to connect with her in a more meaningful full way. That excuse came in early 2020 when, when I saw that she was launching a brand new book entitled Survival Skills for Freelancers. Let's look up on Safari. Let's go to it. No, that's not it. Townsend. There we go. Tried. And tested tips to help you ace self-employment without burnout. Is that really the full name? Tried and tested tips to help you ace self-employment without burnout. Yeah, that'd be the one. All right. All the prompting I needed. So contacted her via social media, Twitter in this case, to see if she'd like to be a guest on my non-brand podcast. She immediately said yes, and we set up a Zoom call for the recording session. Now, it's important that you know that I'm always a little wary when booking someone I don't personally know or have spoken with previously for the pod. Sure, I'd followed her on Twitter and saw that she had a brain sparkling wit with just a touch of self-deprecation, comma, but that's the go-to for a lot of malignant narcissists, for a lot of people. And you never know if someone's going to be a good guest until you're well into the recording session. So, fingers crossed. I hit record, and off we went. Within seconds, any anxiety I had dissipated, was replaced by delight. It resulted in 2 really fun episodes. Number 101 and 102, and in what I believe will be a lifelong friendship. Why? Because she clearly knows who she is and has been being it professionally for well over 2 decades. We talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about that. And her book shares candidly shares candidly shares a lot about her upbringing and the path she took to get to where she is today. I'm going to put a note in here, Sarah Townsend, nonfiction brand quote. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it right now. This is good. I'm going to go ahead and give that a I've started writing it icon, but oh no, it needs to be a yellow because it's nowhere near done, but it's at least started. And you can see down here that I've written 489 words, and let's see, I've been going live for 26 minutes. And I think I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to push my luck tonight. I'm feeling good about where I got. I know where I want to go next with it. But I also want to listen back to this week's, it's this week's episode. Yeah, this week's episode of the podcast and look for a pull quote of about 50 to 75 words. Because here's the thing. This is a little, okay. Don't tell anyone. But I'm actually cheating a little bit. I'm using my podcast to have someone else's ideas that came straight out of their mouth onto my recording. I'm then taking their idea and plugging it into my book where their idea supports my central book thesis, right? So I'm leveraging my podcast. I'm leveraging my podcast guests, and I'm also doing them a solid because it's going to be very cool for them, I think, to say, hey, Sarah, guess what? I wrote about you in my book. I anticipate that she would probably be pretty happy and interested to see what that's about. And hopefully, fingers crossed, if she likes the book, she might bring that book into her network and share it among her friends and family and professional acquaintances and everything else. So is there a method to my madness? Why, yes, there is. And that is kind of what I talked about earlier in here, where I talked about, let's see, right here. But only for those who are actively putting themselves out there, sharing what they know without expectation of immediate benefit for themselves. Notice I didn't say no benefit for themselves because sometimes, sooner or later, such sharing is going to pay off. Maybe not in the form of paid engagement, but in the guise of a new friend from across the seas. So, yeah, this is my having her on my podcast. That's going to help me. It's going to help her. It's a mutual back scratch. And having her in my book is going to be really good for me, but it's also going to be really good for her. Mutual back scratch. You know, it really is about helping each other out in a very open, giving, sharing way. But let's face it, Sarah, and I'm going to put myself in her shoes for a second, probably is going to be pretty interested that she's going to be featured in a book that's, the audience is primarily going to be American, even though she's from Gloucester, England. Gloucester is way out west of London. It's north of Bristol. It's in the Cotswolds, which, if you know anything about British Sylvan pastoral TV shows, that's where they always go to film because it's all those quaint little cottages and stuff like that. All those little villages from Downton Abbey, that's Cotswolds. So anyway, she's going to be, I think, pretty happy that she's going to be featured in a book that will be airing her name and her ideas in the United States of America. Pretty cool, huh? Some goodwill generated there? Yeah, I think so. But guess what? I'm getting tremendous benefit out of that as well. So it's a win-win, literally a win-win. So enough about that and that strategy, other than to say that I'm done for tonight. because I've got, let's see, tonight is episode 144, 144 consecutive days. I've got 157 left of these to do. Oh my God, I got 157 left of these to do. Jeez. Yeah, I'm insane. But I don't have to do them to the point of exhaustion every night. Instead, if I write about 450 to 500 words a night, I could have a 400-page book by the end of the year. I don't want a 400-page book. I want a 250-page book, maybe 250, 275, somewhere there. And so I don't need to kill myself every night. I just need to be here every night. And so I am. And part of that is thanks to you, because I made a promise to you to come out down here and do this, advance my book, move it forward every single night. And this, as I said, is episode 144, consecutive days since Friday, March 5th. Yeah, it's happening. So it's okay. I did 489 words tonight. That's great. So I can happily say, I'm done. So thank you so much for helping me out and making me, forcing me, twisting my arm and getting my butt back down in this chair to work on this book. Without you and the promise I made to you, maybe I wouldn't be here, but I am. Also, check out the Nonfiction Brand podcast, which comes out every Monday. And since today is Wednesday, that means that Monday's episode, which premiered 2 days ago, which features Sarah Townsend, who I was just writing about, you can listen to that first of 2 episodes and meet the woman I'm actually writing about right now. And I'm going to be writing about it tomorrow night, so you can come back tomorrow night, same general time, and see what I'm writing about her then. Cool? So that's it for me tonight. I'll see you tomorrow night. But in the meantime, theme music, take us on out.